All right, and we're off.
Get ready. All right, are we live?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. It is Saturday night, March 19th. We have a pretty good show for you tonight here on the Collective. I am, of course, here with my co-host Brian.
Hello,
A
hello.
very Hey, we have a very special guest on tonight who's going to come in and talk to us about some channeling, about some abduction, and about a whole lot of other stuff here. We may actually be opening up a very interesting can of worms tonight. Um, our guest tonight, her name is, well, she's going to be going by the name of Aria. She's had some experiences with some beings, some ETs, as they're called. We're gonna get her in here. We're gonna talk to her about that. We're gonna talk to her about some of her Reiki healing, some of her certifications as well, and just kind of see where the night takes us. Apparently, she is a star seed, or what's called a star child. We're gonna have her explain some of that to us as well, and how she discovered that on her journey through life. And I think without further ado, Brian, you have anything else to add? I'm gonna take that as a no then. Okay. Hey, Arya, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Hey, Arya, thanks for
What's
joining us
up?
tonight. How are you?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good, Arya. Welcome to the Paradox Collective.
It's nice to be here. Thank you
Fan-
for letting me join.
Fantastic,
Thank you for
fantastic.
being a part of it. We appreciate it.
So, Arya, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and how you came to start this journey. I hear you were, or kind of talked a little bit. You had some abduction experiences, and you're a star seed, star child. Tell us about that.
Um, the term, so I actually did a little bit of research because I've been studying this community for a long time, and it started in the 1970s by a book called The Gods of Aquarius. And this book was about indigo people, which later turned into Star Child, and then later into more of the round of Star Seed, and now is starting turning into more of light workers. Um, a Star Seed, to give a definition, is a individual that has reincarnated into a human body that has physical memories, that their soul is not human, and they have memories of being born and being raised on another planet, and usually coming here to this planet to serve a purpose, a mission. But over the years, it's been diluted by a lot of negativity.
Oh, and how
So,
did you come to find out that you were like what made you aware that you were one of these I guess starseed old souls as it were?
I had a physical memory that came back to me, that my a lot of Sarsis consider it their homeworld's collective. Um, my homeworld's collective was helping me to reconnect to my past so that I could reconnect with my star brother, so I could help him return home
What
this
was this
lifetime.
memory? What was this memory of that
It
resurfaced that was
was
brought to you?
it was a
And how was it
happy
brought to you?
um it was a happy memory. It was a memory from my childhood back on my home world of me playing with children from my childhood, and we were playing with a hovercraft or like a sled hovercraft on our home world, and we were having fun with it. And the dream, most of the time, a lot of humans dream in black and white,
Mm-hmm.
but the dream that I had was in color, and it was surrounded by a golden veil.
Was this a
And
dream that you had in like waking life, or you went to bed and you had this dream that kind of awoke and you had this other
yes,
experience?
it was like a dream that you go to bed one night, you are in a really, really deep state dream, and they usually come and contact you through your dream state. And it's a dream where you can't tell whether it was a dream or reality
Mm-hmm.
type of dream
Mm-hmm.
because it felt so real, like you were there living it.
So you saw faces, colors. You said, and you were in this other world.
You on another planet? Can you describe it?
Yes, I'm not allowed to describe it because my star brother told me not to,
Okay.
because our race has been attacked multiple times in the past. So my star brother told me that I'm not allowed to talk about our homeworld.
Can you talk about the name of the race
No,
or anything about the race at all?
no, I'm not allowed to.
Interesting. Okay. So now, what does this as your star brother, like what is it that you're doing now, as far as are you still trying to complete um your goal? Have you learned more about
Our
what your goal
goal
was?
our goal is mostly have been completed already. Um, our 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 goal of the reason why we came here was because we needed refuge because our homeworld was attacked,
Hmm.
and we didn't want to go through the conventional way. We wanted to go humanely, and in order to do it, we had to give up what we have known from our home world in order to become a human. And when you do that, you lose everything, your memories, your abilities, your knowledge, you lose it all. And you're basically just alone here for a while
Mm-hmm.
until the consciousness of this planet evolves. So my memory dates back to when man still roamed Earth. That's how long I've been here.
Now, do you remember a lot about your different lives you've lived since you came?
Yes, I do.
Can you
The
tell us a little bit about?
first couple of oh,
Go ahead.
yeah, the first couple of lifetimes that I have lived here, the first few lives that I lived here, starting like way, way back, I mostly died of hyperthermia from being a human.
Jesus, that doesn't sound like a lot of fun. Now, was that because
The
was that
next few stages of my life after that was me drowning in water.
now was that no was your do you think your these unfortunate circumstances were because you weren't good at being a human yet, or was it just it sucked back then for everybody?
It just sucked for everybody. Like, in the 1800s, it was a life or death I think it was during the time of the Renaissance all the way up to the Victorian era. Women were told in secret that you needed to make a will once you become pregnant because they didn't know whether or not you would survive after birth.
Mm, mm. That's true too. Like it was very hard. Um, all right, I want to switch gears here. If you were, let's go. I want to talk a little bit about your abduction experiences. So just to preface this, we have a couple pictures that you sent over. Um, I want to get to those and kind of have you kind of go over those with us. But first, I want to kind of talk to us a little bit about your abduction experiences. I know you said they started very young. Kind of walk us through
Yeah,
a timeline of those from
Do
like when you were young to like maybe like 18, 19, like kind of to when you started realizing that you were a starseed.
the first memory that I have is when I'm an infant in my crib, and I don't know what race came into my room, but they instinctively know that when there's a disturbance in a room with an infant, they start to cry, and they didn't want me to cry, so they started rocking me in my crib.
Hmm.
So that was the other first experience that I had. Most through my childhood was nightmares. Um, and then when I was a teenager, I started contemplating whether or not I wanted to stay with my youth group or if I wanted to stay in religion or if I wanted to leave. And I chose to left. I chose to leave
Hmm.
organized religion
All right.
and go down to this path of what a lot of Starseeds call a spiritual awakening. Um,
So this started around, you said around 16 when you left the church, when you left
yeah,
your
so
religion
I've been
existence?
on this journey now for like 10 years.
Okay.
A lot of Starseeds don't understand why it takes so long. And the reason being is because this journey is a lifelong journey. You're not going to get answers right away. It took me 5 years to get answers.
Really? So about when did the hardcore visiting and abduction start for you?
It mostly started around the age of 15.
Tell us a little bit about how that started, um, how these beings manifested, and what did they and what kind of impact did they have on your life? Like, what did they do?
The first experience that I had started with paranormal activity. I was in middle school. We had a field trip to Washington, D.C., and we went to go see the Lincoln Theater where Lincoln was shot. The entire time that I was there, I felt like the building was on fire.
Mm.
And I think I remember they told me that it burned down twice. And when I had my camera on me, I don't have the picture anymore or my camera anymore, but I took a picture and my picture was literally littered with orbs of people that have died in that theater.
Oh my
And
God.
then there
And
is
orbs?
a, yeah, and there was a dark figure. Mostly, I think it was a demon spirit, but mostly it's a spirit guardian that watches over the souls and tries to get them to move over into the spiritual realm so they can, move on. But it's a long and tedious process.
Really? And why is it such a long and tedious process?
A lot of them still have emotional attachments. They don't understand that time has moved forward. Some of them still think that it's Victorian era.
Wow.
Um, so when you have a medium or a person that has these abilities, the first thing I tell them is what year it is, what month, what date, and I'm really sorry to tell you this, but all the people that you have known are gone.
Mhm.
And
And
I think it's time for you to move on.
how does this relate to the ETs?
Um, the really funny thing is that it started back when I was in Sunday school.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at the time, I didn't know that I was a natural born telepath. Um, so every day after Sunday school, I would go into my backyard and sing to the heavens as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And this basically alerted dark entities to come into my life because I was a natural born telepath with undeveloped psychic abilities that were still developing. When you get in contact with these beings, they think that the only way to order to make you powerful or more stronger is to abuse you to order to make your psychic abilities powerful. But what they don't understand is that most psychic abilities in young adults don't start maturing and become more powerful until they become hit puberty. Some children do have stronger abilities when they're young, but majority of them don't hit the highest peak until they're at least in the middle stages of puberty.
So, have these beings abuse you and try to pull your powers out of you?
Yeah, when I was a young kid, I remember being taken to an underground base and they literally tried to drill into my soul to try to program me, which caused me brain damage.
Try to program you for what?
I believe they didn't want me to have my abilities, and I was there with a group of kids.
What did they look like? The people, the beings who tried to take you.
They were metamorphs. And there were also other beings, including reptilians and other races that I was not permitted to see. They blocked my psychic vision
So
during the whole process.
explain. I gotta stop you there. Explain that word. Explain, because you said it very casually, and I'm not familiar with that. You said the beings were metamorphs.
It's like
Metamorphs are
multi shape shifting. Is that right?
I'll let you
Metamorphs
go ahead.
are
Explain it.
beings that can change form. There are many different species of metamorphs.
Hmm.
Metamorphs are beings that can shift. There are other metamorphs that are races, certain type of other races that can shift shape into animals.
Mm-hmm.
But the majority of the race that I was in
Skinwalkers,
contact, what?
like skinwalkers.
Yes.
Mm,
I've
interesting.
seen some crazy videos of something that looked wild of like a skinwalker coming out of a forest. Have you seen that video?
No, maybe.
The video is
Uh,
wild. And he's just like crawling.
Metamorphs,
Yeah, go ahead.
metamorphs are very territorial. Um, they usually protect their territory because, mostly because they have other metamorphs there. It's like a tribe or a family, or they're trying to protect their own family from a threat. And that's the
Really?
only reason why they would show themselves if they think that their family is a threat, is being threatened.
Yeah, there was like this video of this thing coming out of like a forest. It was titled Skinwalker, and I've never really heard that term before. And what looked like a human looking thing crawling on all fours coming out of a forest or walking first and trying to like yell, and then all of a sudden he started to go up this like bank, this embankment, because it was on an angle, and it or he or whatever, it looked like a male, started crawling on all fours, and at just about as it was to get to the edge, the guy started driving off, but he was like talking to him and stuff. I'm gonna see if I can find the video.
So now tell us about. So you said you were taken into an underground base, and what did they do to you in the underground? So they drilled into your soul. Did they have like a device they were using, or was it like a more like a
Yeah,
psychic attack?
they were trying to dissociate me, basically, and it didn't work because my vortex abilities activated. And then once my vortex ability was activated, people from the vortex community came to save me.
Explain that. Explain your
Uh,
vortex ability was activated, and people from the vortex community came to save you.
yeah, vortex ability is pure white energy from what I have learned.
Where does it come from?
And um from what I have been told from research and from other people is that the vortex isn't just something that you're born with. It's not given to you. Only the vortex can choose individuals to have the vortex ability.
It's like the Speed Force. I don't understand. Is
So
it
the
like a psychic,
vortex
a living?
so
Is
the
it a
vor
living
so
power?
the so there's vortex energy in certain locations around the globe, and there's different vortex energies in different portions of the galaxy, but the vortex has sort of like its own mind or collective, and it only chooses individuals that they think that they know that can handle the vortex abilities.
Now, have you been able to develop those abilities since then? Have you used them or?
I have auric vision. I don't you do a whole lot with portals or vortex energy a whole lot because I don't want to attract unwanted attention that it's negative.
Makes sense. It seems like there's a lot of negative energies out there that prey on
Yeah,
people harm.
the reason why there's so much negativity is because of negative human activity, but also because lower dimensionals that are still looming around on this planet that don't understand that there is a lower realm called the abyss that they can go to.
Now, what is that like the underworld?
Yeah, and in a sense, it's sort of like a refuge or a place. Humans call it hell. It's not really hell. It's just a lower realm or lower dimensionals, like what humans call demons, incubus, succubus, negative beings that humans mostly associate that usually live in that realm, and it's their home.
Now, you said
And
one thing I wanna switch gears again here and kind of move on from this particular area. I want to get to the pictures here. So now you said there was a point in time where you were visited by some beings and you managed to get some pictures here. And we have these pictures. We're gonna put them up on the screen. Looks like you got one of these pictures is looks like something you caught during the day, and then one of them is at night. Can you kind of can you explain? I don't know if you can see this if you want to look in
so
the.
they're both taken at night.
Okay.
Um, I took the pictures in night vision because I knew that I couldn't capture them on regular camera, and the pictures were taken during the 2008 financial collapse in the United States, and my parents nearly lost their house because of it. And my parents finally, my mother actually ended up saving enough money for me to get my own phone for um, after school activities and for emergency, and that's how I was able to take these pictures. The app that I took these photos with no longer exists, but I still kept the photos as proof and hopefully show
Zoom
people
in, Brian. Zoom in. You were zooming out. Just
and
zoom in.
let people know that they're not alone
Are you able
with
to
this experience.
look at what we're looking at, Arya?
I don't know if she can do that if she's on her phone, but so I want to the first. Let me talk about this. The picture on the right, we've got a picture on the right and a picture on the left. It looks like they're both taken from your bedroom. Looks like the one I'm wondering because I can see a bunch of light coming in from the window under the shade there. Now, is that from the portal or tell us? Because you said there's possibly some entities in these pictures somewhere.
So there's an entity. I do believe the entity is young. It's by my bookcase, and the older one is near my window. And I do think the older one is teaching the younger one how to abduct a human because I think the older one was um it's mostly from what I have heard, it's a normal occurrence for them to do this, to train a new generation of their kind to come and abduct humans. It's sort of like a job.
So now, where in the picture? Because I'm having a hard time really. I see the room and stuff, but I'm not really. Is there anything distinctive that kind of shows where those? Is it down below, like on the bottom of the bookcase in the bottom right corner? It looks kind of like a face, or
It
what do
should
we?
be right in the it should be right in the middle of the bookcase. Let me see if I can um
I'm seeing here, like I see the pictures, and I can very clearly see the. Looks like you have your
so
bedroom.
so if you look at the bag in my room and then you go look down diagonally, you can see it looking up into the ceiling.
Is
Yeah,
it
right
this
there.
right here?
Yeah.
Okay. And then in the other picture, is it where are we looking at in the other picture?
So if you look in the other picture near the bag, if you look down, you can see it peering through the window.
Down on
Like,
the bottom here, down the bottom edge of the window, right there.
y yeah, it's right by the pool.
Okay. So sorry for all of our audio listeners. Um, you're not gonna be you actually may be able to see this if you actually go to the YouTube and take a look. But we're looking at what looks like does look like some kind of being on the bottom. I can definitely see something in the picture on the right.
What's
On the picture on the
wild
left,
is that I see some sort of thing. I don't know. I've done a lot of like
I see
psychedelics in my
that.
time too. So I see this, dude. I see something here.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's anything, but
It should so if you look at the bag, it should be, like, right just under the bag. It's, like, right there.
Huh.
like around here. Oh, look at that
Yeah, right
thing.
there.
Look at that,
Yeah.
dude.
Is that what we're looking at?
It looks like something that's coming through your window shade.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that at all.
That's
They can walk
creepy.
through yeah, they can walk through solid matter.
This
Huh.
right here, you see this outline, dude?
Yeah, I see it.
That's
Interesting.
wild.
No,
I
so
got
tell us a little bit
goosebumps
about
right
that.
now.
Tell us about that situation, about why, like
This is
how.
crazy.
Tell us about how and why, like what compelled you to start taking pictures. Were you being visited frequently? Was something happened that made you get the camera? Because obviously you went through the
Was
steps to get
getting
this.
I was getting a high sense of intense feeling that I was being watched. The energy shift in my room, the high pitching frequency in my ear, um, and the constant dreams that I had as a kid. I knew something was up and I just thought it was time to take pictures.
Now, were you able to communicate with these beings, or and how did they react to you taking the pictures? Were they not pleased, or?
I don't think they actually know that I actually took these photos. And I haven't really talked to them about it, but I don't think they actually know that I took these.
Leave it right there, Brian. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
that's the pictures are really disturbing. Hopefully, maybe we'll be able to get a link to these and
This one,
on Imager or something.
this is like a different. It's like almost like like is that an eye? That's an eye, and like that kind of looks like the mouth.
I see it. Look to me. It looks like a profile. Like there's one eye, and then what you're looking at there was actually a cheek, and then the mouth would be further to the left more. Almost like, yeah,
Oh, I
like
see what you're saying.
you see, yeah, that's what I'm
Oh
saying.
shit.
But here's the thing, and I don't want to get bogged down too much in describing
I
the picture
see.
on a
I see.
podcast
I
that people
see.
might be looking at, you know, and that people that might be listening to as well. So in this case, you get a chance. But yeah, that's what I see, and I definitely do see that. So now tell me, so what's the progression here? So after these pictures, obviously these things were plaguing you. You told us a little
There
bit in our
weren't,
interview.
they
Reached
weren't,
out to some people to help you, some channeling. How did this progress, like from this point, like as these things, as this obviously this situation is progressed?
they weren't really plaguing me. It was more like visitation. I had some really funny experiences with them.
Really?
Um, One of the funny experiences that I had is that once I got my braces off, I had a retainer in my mouth, and my first two retainers got chewed up by my dog, and the third one they ended up taking it out of my mouth while I was sleeping because they were curious about it. And to this day, it's kind of hard to tell your orthodontist on how your third retainer is missing, so I never really, went
Right.
back.
Right. That's wild. That's wild. Now, did they ever tell you what they wanted? Did they ever explain to you why they kept taking you?
They're mostly trying to study human evolution. From what I mostly have learned is that they're mostly mainly studying human evolution. Um, there is a lot
For what
of di-
purpose?
there is a lot of disinformation about them, but I do know is that they do have their own home world that they go back to. They have their own culture, their own history and stuff.
They travel
Um,
back to a different planet, and then and there are they? Because I mean, I'm
yeah, it's
assuming that's
sort
like
of
light
it's
years away.
well, you have to understand before human history begun on this planet, Earth was mostly considered as a um tourist attraction for intergalactic species.
Really?
Yes.
And how did this? How did you come across this information?
Um Mostly because of how interesting Earth is. Um, Earth is situated in a very interesting particular place in the galaxy, and Earth is a very unique planet, not just because it's a water planet, but it's a basically and essentially for the audience to understand is that um, Earth is like a hubcap to interdimensional portal lines that um that are spread all over the planet, and the planet just records cosmic energy all around the planet, and Earth is very diverse in this.
Are
So
we the only planet to have this type of alignment, or is there others?
there are Earth has seven other sisters in the Milky Way galaxy that have these ley lines, and this is the reason why Earth is protected. Um,
Who protects the Earth?
the Council of 12 mostly dictates laws,
And what's the
and
Council of 12?
the Council of 12 is known as the Consodium.
The Consodium.
Yes.
Okay. And what is the Consodium slash the Council of 12? How did they come
Um,
about? What's their
mostly
purpose?
they mostly dictate laws basically, and they mostly care more about the planet than the actual race on the planet. So they mostly, they're sort of like, how do you want to put it? They're sort of like in a human reference, like HR to the entire galaxy.
The Council of 12.
That's that's a nightmare. HR. Oh. So how did they come to who gives them the authority to kind of protect the earth? And by that I mean, like, normally when someone says, "Oh, well, someone has the
Well,
authority to protect
you have
something,
to
they have the
think about it.
power to protect it as well."
Well, you have to think about it this way. Um, if Earth, if something happens to the Earth, our entire Milky Way galaxy is in jeopardy, and the reality associated with our Milky Way galaxy will also be in jeopardy.
Why is that?
That's because of the ley lines of portal energy that's on this planet. That's the reason why so many races are freaking out about us, because we're basically destroying the planet and we have absolutely no clue about
So
how much power and how special our planet is.
so does the power and the energy of these ley lines, does it come from the life on the planet, or does it come from the planet itself?
From the planet itself.
So it doesn't need us, right? So why don't they just wipe us all out?
No, you're so a long time ago, and I have come to this conclusion on my own, so I don't really have, but I do have the feeling that a long time ago, races in the past were preventing Earth to become a semiotic planet, or a semiote planet, or a semiotic planet. In that matter, and what a semiotic planet is that if the planet dies, the race dies, and if the race dies, the planet dies as well. That's what a semiotic planet is this unique relationship that they have, and very rare planets have this ability. And I do think in the past, alien races were trying to stop this evolution because they're really scared
So
of
now
how we're running it.
So now, before humans were on the planet, was there another race that they protected that went extinct, or like if it's a symbiotic relationship?
Earth had several ancestors, which they're mostly called ancient ancestors of Earth. Um, Earth doesn't human so the Council 12 doesn't call Earth. They call it by a different name, her real name.
And do you know it? Are you allowed to talk about it or no?
Um, Earth's real name is called Esau or Isha.
Hmm.
I don't really know how to pronounce it a whole lot, but that's the closest that I have come to.
And where did you hear this? Did you hear this from beings or
But the Terrans call Earth many different names.
the who?
I learned this. I have learned this from study, basically.
Mhm.
Um, I have come in contact with some people that sort of know a little bit more than I do about stuff, and I'm in the same boat with them. I'm still trying to learn everything that I can, and I'm still learning about stuff just like everybody else is.
So what do you think? What do you
I,
think the real? Go ahead, Brian.
yeah, I have a question. Have you ever you're familiar with like a spirit box, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to use one and try to communicate? I'm still fascinated with these entities that have visited you. I can't get that out
So,
of my mind. Have you ever
Hold
tried to
on,
communicate?
we're not even there yet. Like she's privy to channeling. So she knows people that have channeled these beings. We haven't even gotten to that point. We'll get there in a second.
Super curious about it.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Arya.
yes, so as I was saying, Earth has ancient ancestors that have evolved off the planet, and some have gone underground. Um, I don't know a whole lot about Earth's ancient ancestors, a whole lot. I'm still learning about them, but I do know that there is one ancient ancestor that thinks that they own the planet and think that this is their home and they want us gone and they want absolutely nothing to do with us.
Mm.
But
Why is that?
um mostly because they mostly think the human race is stupid.
They think we think we're a stupid race. I mean, I
They
think
think
maybe
that
we're underdeveloped, but I wouldn't think we're stupid. But of course, that's because I'm human. I would hate to think that.
um you have to understand Earth society has collapsed 3 times throughout human history.
Theirs has or ours has?
Our has.
Hmm. I think it's collapsed more than that, right?
Yeah,
It
it's
depends
collapsed
on what
more
you
than that.
define collapse.
I think that's part of growing pains of
Social,
any young race, though.
the closest reference that I have come across is the story of Samla and Gora from the Bible.
Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that was the start of basic social anarchy.
Now you saying the story of Sodom and Gomorrah from the Bible is real?
Yes.
Wow. So, what what happened to your understanding then? Was it ETs that destroyed it, or was that one of the wars that you were talking
It
about?
was mostly because of human selflessness, greed, desire, um, egoistic, basically very negative things happened during that time period.
I mean, I can't disagree. According to the Bible, I mean, I'd have to agree, but I mean, I don't know. I didn't really live back then, but there's a lot of evidence for that could be said for a lot of the stuff that happened there with historical, places matching up with things that were said, but
Do you have
um
like physical memories of being around during these times that are written about in the Bible, Arya?
yeah,
Um,
yeah, 'cause the Ice Age was before
some
that, right?
I only have one particular memory, but I'm not allowed to talk to it because I don't have permission to talk about it.
It's your if Isn't it your memory though? Why can't you talk about it?
Because it shares a memory with someone else, and
Oh, I see.
I don't have permission to talk about their experience.
You
And I think,
referring to your star brother?
no, a different friend of mine.
I see. It's very
Are
interesting.
you like physically friends with these your star brother? Like you knew them in a past life. Do you know them in a current? I guess it's the same consciousness that has been recycled
Yeah,
in different
we're my
bodies throughout
star.
time.
So,
Is that my understanding?
me and my star brother, we are family. That has been confirmed to us several times over that we're family. Um,
Um,
my my star brother came down to the planet first, and then I came down to the planet a little bit later after him.
so this may sound like an adversarial question, but I have to ask it. It's in my mind. I'm wondering. So the with your star brother and other family members of other star seeds, I guess I could say. Um, is it seems extremely unlikely that with all the people on the planet, there's like what is it, 9 billion or something? I don't know. That's probably the wrong number, but I know it's pretty high now. 7.8. I don't know.
Mhm.
There's just a lot of people that you would reincarnate into a life and then meet these people like in the same area as you. Like it's
Yeah,
statistically extremely unlikely.
my collective helped us reunite.
Say that again. I didn't catch that. Your collect.
My a collective is like um a consciousness
Mhm.
of a race, and they mostly have guided us to come back together.
Okay, I see. That makes sense. Racial consciousness is able to guide where you're which.
It's sort of like what a lot of people call as guardian angels.
Mhm.
That's essentially what they mostly did is just, guide us to come together and reunite again. Which
Are there
has
like
taken what yeah, like, this process has taken over more than 1,000 years to reunite.
That's amazing. No, is that like you mentioned like the guardian angels, so are there ETs working behind the scenes? Would you think that like the angels, guardian angels themselves, are those ETs or more like dimensional spiritual beings working behind the scenes for people, or is it one of those things where that's might just be a different race or
Um, guardian guardian angels are comprised of several different races, so you have to
several?
be very specific about which race you're talking about
Well, I
because
wouldn't know because I don't
humans
know any of them. I don't think. Oh, I
so
know the Greys. I've heard of the Greys and then like the lizard people.
yeah, so humans like to lump sum everything into a group, and this is what everybody is, and that's not really the case. Each and every species has their own identity, their own culture. Some don't even know each other. Some don't even know that they exist, and they just, coexist with each other.
How many races do you think you've how many races have you interacted with yourself? Like you said you interacted with a
I
bunch of
have
different ones. Like
lost, I basically lost count after 5
really?
because it's very hard to keep track of them.
I remember Brian. You remember we talked to Peter. How many
Mm-hmm.
did he say? He said like 7. He knew of 7 or something, right? Or maybe am I pulling that number out of my ass?
Um, for some reason, I only remember him talking about three. But he could have said seven.
Maybe I am just pulling that number out. I don't know.
So, about the question about aliens working in the background, yes, they're working in the background. Um, but they're not allowed to show them physically. Um, in order to get an understanding what I mean by physically is that they're not allowed to show up on the White House lawn and say, "Hey, I'm here," type of thing. Um, they're not allowed to decloak in a populated city on top of a major city. Um,
Right. You had mentioned that in the interview, and I thought that was very interesting. It made a lot of sense that they kind of have like
So,
a whole rule set about
they
what they are and aren't.
yeah, they have certain rules and guidelines to come here, and a lot of these
so,
races that do end up coming to this planet, they have been in training for years to
so
come to this planet.
any like video that has been like seen or surface or anything on the internet where there's like a sighting, um, you would say that is what like a malfunction of something.
Yeah, so sometimes they do have permission to decloak. Sometimes they can't help it
Hmm.
and their cloak is broken. But sometimes in rare cases, sometimes they like to show off and say, "Hey, we're here, we're watching you," type of thing, like a sort of like entertainment news.
I would do that if I was an alien, like on an alien planet,
Like you have to
zooming
like
around.
you have to
I
under
would.
like you have to like put it in this type of context. It's like um you found out that a planet close to Earth is inhabited. You want to go check it out, but the race has no idea that you guys even exist.
Yeah.
And so they just have a little bit of fun with it.
Right.
it gets people curious to start awakening their minds and the possibilities instead of their sheltered lives that they have.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm actually surprised that more of them don't act more cavalier and kind of show themselves off. We don't have
Yeah,
more information
there's
about this stuff.
really, really strict galactic laws right now about that because Earth is in a very, very, I guess you can say, dire situation.
Mm.
Um, Humans are on the verge of either evolving past our current situation of messes or evolving back to the Stone Age.
That's crazy. All right, so one thing I want to do, I want to go ahead and switch gears again. I want to get to a couple more things we kind of talked about just to make sure we hit all our points here. I want to segue here with the talking about the beings and the visits into something we mentioned a little bit, which was channeling. Said you had a little bit of experience with channeling, or you may have can you tell us a little bit about
So
that?
how so on my spiritual journey as Elastar Seeds Club, I got um I guess I wouldn't say involved. I mostly joined out of curiosity because I was seeking answers. So I joined this YouTube channel called Hucolo TV. This was probably back in 2016 or 2017. Um, just to let you know, I have no negative experience against the founders of this YouTube channel. I have nothing against them. It's just I left because I believe that some of the beings that comes through are fake. They're not telling the truth, and
Now, by
some
fake, do you
are.
mean they're fake beings, or their intentions are not true?
I do think the main channeler channels real beings, but I think most of them that come through this channel um, are not telling the truth, and sometimes they're not allowed to tell the truth. But but I had positive experience with this group. I got out what I needed to get out. Sometimes I just have to learn from experience, and this was one of these experiences.
Tell me a little
And
bit about
through
tell me a
through
little bit
this,
about some of the positive experiences that you had through channeling uh and what you
so
learned about
channeling,
yourself. Like, is this where you learned
so
from about your star brother, or
yeah, so through this YouTube channel, I ended up finding my star brother. I ended up reconnecting with my star family, and it got me down to the path to study Reiki and study other different avenues of spirituality.
really?
And there are some people that do take this very seriously, and there's some that just do this to goof off. But yeah.
So with your star family, like you said, with the channeling, like what were you guys channeling?
We were channeling beings that like to come in and talk to humans and mostly educate them, mostly.
What kind of stuff would they tell you guys
Um,
about?
um, just a general, like we would ask questions, they would respond back with answers. It was like a Q&A segment type of thing most of the time.
Give me an
I do
example.
think the channel has changed over time, but yeah, it was a good experience for me. I learned a lot. Mm.
Like what though? Like I'm asking because like we don't have any experience with anybody who's done channeling, who's actually spoken with any of these beings. Like we have
So
experience with somebody who's
channeling
done astral
so
projection, But this is very new to us.
So there's two main forms of channeling. There's full body channeling and then there's voice channeling. The main person that does it is full body channeling, and then sometimes they have volunteers that do voice channelings or full body channelings with different beings.
Now, did you ever do any channeling, or
No, I never really got involved with it.
you didn't get involved with it? But you were there asking questions, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it's interesting. Huh. I wish I knew more about what kind of stuff they were like. What kind of stuff were what kind of beings were being channeled? Right there. Let's start there.
There were many different kinds from many different races that would just like to come in and talk to humans. And basically, they were curious about us. We were curious about them. So they were asking questions back and forth between us mostly.
Are you
And
able to channel or no?
no, I never wanted to channel mostly.
Do you
I
think
would
it's
sit
something that
there.
you could open up if you tried?
Yeah, if I put enough effort into, yeah, but I choose not to because it can bring in some dark entities sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes the entities don't have good intentions, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes the beings that come through don't give you the truth. Um,
Right.
sometimes they're not even permitted to not. Sometimes they're not even permitted to tell you the truth.
So can
But
they damage you physically, or is it more just they lie to
yes,
you?
channeling in the long term, yes, it can damage the body.
I think what Pat is trying to say is, are the entities, can they physically hurt us in any like the human form while channeling?
Yes.
Okay, that's super creepy.
That is creepy. That's kind of scary. Now, now who decides what being comes through? You know?
That's actually a good question since I never really got into it a whole lot. Sometimes beings usually show up a day or two saying, "Hey, can I talk this time around?" And like, "Hey, can I talk to you, to the humans, to the human audience today?" And they will probably say yes or no, and then
So
they
what
will just like reschedule it.
so what kind of questions do they normally ask of humans? What's a question that you've
They
answered?
mostly want to understand our understanding about stuff like spirituality, religion, our social structure.
Do you think they want to know,
The
do you think they're like doing military scouting, or do you think they want to understand us?
some want to study us, some want to help us, and the only way for them to help us is that they have to study us first before they can help us. So sometimes they just do this out of pure curiosity or entertainment.
Interesting. That's actually very interesting. We may need to look into see if we can find somebody who knows a little bit about channeling, or who could channel for us on the show. That would might be very interesting. I have to start
Yeah,
looking
that
into
would be
about that.
dope.
I have to start looking into that as well. Um, this has been extremely enlightening, Aria. I've enjoyed myself. I've learned a lot about a lot of different things here. I really appreciated you coming on.
Wait, I want to
Um,
know before we wrap up, like
yeah,
about the spirit box. Have you ever experimented with a spirit box and
you
contacted
asked me
any
that part.
type of entities?
That's ghosts, bro. Spirit boxes are for
Yeah,
ghosts.
it's not the same thing.
I don't think it's the
Spirit
same.
boxes
I'm
are a
sorry.
new invention for humans to communicate beyond the physical realm. But if you tone the frequency of a spirit box to the right frequency, yes, you can talk to ghosts. But you can also talk to other spiritual entities. And the only time that you can actually talk to spiritual entities are interdimensional energies. or like beings that operate on a different frequency is that you have to go to an area somewhere that has a high energy concentration.
Right.
Like ley
This is
line.
most Yeah, like a ley line. You have most of the time you can find these energy points with dowsing rods. They're just natural frequencies from the earth,
So
and you can
it
just
kind
go
of
there.
depends on which, like, what type of entities you seek, and what kind of ley line you lay yourself on or you're by to
Yeah,
channel
but
those things.
um I don't recommend going out there in the blue and just randomly doing this because you have absolutely no idea what type of being you're going to be coming in contact with,
Right.
whether it's good or positive. So most of it is just keeping it in the ghosty realm so
Yeah.
that um but I do believe that the ghost box um can be used for good because there are so many spirits that are stuck in this twilight stage of life and death, and they have absolutely no clue that life or time has passed. And communicating them and giving them closure to move on, I think can really benefit from this ghost box and let these spirits that have been trapped here on this planet to finally have closure.
Hmm.
I think that would be a really good thing with the spirit box
I
if
mean,
it's used
the
correctly.
only reason why I bring up like the spirit box, and I personally think everything's connected, whether it's like ghosts or aliens or otherworldly dimensions or other beings. I think it's all connected, and I think one thing shouldn't be shunned out because it's a different subject or whatever than
No,
what we're speaking about.
yeah, I totally agree with you. Yes, a spirit box can help you communicate with other beings that operate on a different frequency. Yes, you can do that, but it requires very special technology to order to do that, and the spirit box a basic
Yeah,
is
super.
basic technology to some alien races, and they will never pick that up.
Right.
So basically,
And Super Spirit Box talk to
what
aliens.
a spirit box is mostly now used for is for go talking to ghosts or spirits,
Mm,
and so yeah,
okay.
but I do believe the spirit box can be used for good. I really hope that people who do have spirit boxes can help ghosts find closure in their lives so they can move on.
Yeah, I agree. Pat was, I believe he was getting to some sort of closure. Um,
Oh yeah, I just wanted to. I mean, I think that it would be good too, to be honest, just to touch on that. Is that I wish that you know, I wish there was a better way to really help, I guess, ghosts or spirits, kind of to move on if that is a thing. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know. I'm open minded about everything, but I haven't really formed an opinion on any of that stuff. But as I said, I do kind of want to close this out here. It's been a very illuminating talk, Arya. I do appreciate you coming by and stopping by or whatever you want to call it. Say we can say stopping by. We can pretend that we have a studio. It's really big too. You like it, right? It's awesome.
Worldwide studio.
Anyways, worldwide studio. Yeah, it's huge. There's lights everywhere.
Can I ask one question before we close out, Pat?
No, no more questions. There isn't time. No, I'm just kidding.
Just
Go ahead.
one. Um, so Arya, through all of your experiences in your past memories, and having been around for your conscience has been around for a while, do you feel that like humans are on, I don't even know, like I want to say like a positive path, but like I feel like that is just like not the right word for the situation that I'm trying to convey, or the word that I'm trying to convey,
So
like
the
an upward and evolutionary path. Like, what do you
so
foresee?
So, the current situation with Earth is that um, we're at crossroads right now with the human civilization as we know it. Um, and
It feels like
we
that
are
for
either
sure.
we're and this process, this crossroads that we are going on is completely normal. A lot of other ET races go through this state of evolution of crossroads. We're either going into the crossroads of we will unite together as the human race to basically have a more positive future. And what I mean by that is that we will have a one world government that's not evil, but positive, that can really, really change the impact,
I think we should
not
start with
just
trying to
for the
get maybe start with getting just a government that's not evil before we go to whole one world government that's not evil, right?
yeah,
We haven't even I don't
so
think we've ever in human history accomplished that. Let's start with that as humans. I'm sorry, go ahead.
so like so the positive future for Earth would be is that getting humans to work together, getting
Mhm.
past our struggles, our differences, and coming together united front as a peaceful, loving civilization, and knowing the type of abilities and what we can achieve together. It's really amazing to see the potential that we can have as a race. But I do know that there's a lot of ET races that are preventing this
Mm.
because they don't want Earth to evolve. They don't want this unity. They don't want this love. They don't want this unity for the entire human race.
They don't
Um,
want to see us win, as DJ Khaled would say, huh?
but we have to do this ourselves. No ET is going to help us with this. We have to be the ones to create our create this future for ourselves. And it's basically going back to the drawing book and going back to the very, very basics and just learning how to just, get along. Um, basically, what we know will probably change. We'll start to, you know, have laws that can allow us to evolve more friendly into like a Star Trek type of era.
It's a great segue
But
into this. So Arya,
yeah, like I always want to see the positive future for humanity. I
mhm.
want what is best for humanity, but it's going to be a very difficult and tough road to get to that point.
So Arya, if you had one message that you wanted to give to the viewers here, the people listening, the millions and millions of people that listen to our podcast, um, what would that message be? Just sum up
Um
from yourself.
that whoever is going through these experiences, you're not alone. And I just hope that we can move forward into a positive future.
Oh yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being on the show, Arya, and we will hopefully we'll talk to you again in the future.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.